So I saw the new Batman movie. I had been really excited for this specific movie since its first trailer, but I've been a fan of Batman since I was a kid. So I've seen, or at least I'm familiar with basically every major Batman movie. So how about I talk for a bit about past cinematic instances of the Caped Crusader? So the Adam West 1960s Batman had a show and a movie, and I appreciate it because it's made for kids, but it's funny for adults, and I think it's pretty neat that it does both. And also the '60s movie has the same lineup as villains as the this year's movie, Riddler and Penguin, Catwoman, so that's cool. The Tim Burton movies, the 1989 movie is great. It has a gothic atmosphere, an iconic score, and an engaging story that tells Batman's origin in what I think is a pretty unique way. Batman Returns is a full-on Tim Burton-style drama with memorable versions of a few different Batman characters, and they all play off of each other in interesting ways. Batman the Animated Series. I think if you really want to become a big Batman fan, the single best thing you can do is watch Batman the Animated Series. The animation's really good, and all the characters are written and voice acted well. Batman has an incredible coterie of supervillains, and this show has the best versions of all of them. A lot of them get their own episodes where we see what makes them become antagonists, and also the episodes that feature multiple villains are also incredible. So start watching. I recommend the production order, which is the order the episodes were created in, and sooner or later you'll probably get to an episode that makes you want to commit to watching the entire series. The series had a couple tie-in movies. I know a lot of people like Mask of the Phantasm. I personally enjoyed Sub-Zero quite a bit. The other two '90s Batman movies, the ones directed by Joel Schumacher, they seem very goofy, but I'm pretty sure they're also meant for kids like the 1960s show was. The Dark Knight trilogy is primarily interested in being as realistic and grounded as possible, and it works for what it is. The movies are good, but they're not really my favorite examples of Batman media, especially not after watching the animated series over the course of the past year. The Lego movie introduced a Batman that jokes about and parodies the darkness and broodiness of the character, and the Lego Batman movie is hilarious, and it unironically probably analyzes Batman's relationships with the important people in his life probably better than any other Batman film. The DCEU movie universe has a Batman, but he never got his own solo movie. He just got to be a character in stories that feature different types of threats, like aliens instead of crazy criminals. I appreciate seeing this Batman interact with other superheroes, but I don't think it's too fair to really compare him with the others because the types of stories that he features in aren't very similar to the types of stories that the other Batman movies tell. So yeah, I like Batman. But what is the newest movie, which is set in its own universe, do to make me really like it? Lots of things. First of all the actors are doing a good job at playing the characters. You probably could have predicted that because the cast is frickin' stacked. What I think is going to be more interesting to talk about then is how the different characters are characterized. Most of them are new and interesting interpretations. Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne has fully devoted his life to being Batman. There's no charming playboy persona here. He's just a nocturnal detective in a bat costume who's probably a little too much of a loner for his own good. I really appreciate that this movie is firmly trying to be a detective story. Batman is considered the world's greatest detective, but some of the past movies haven't explored that aspect of the character too much. I also appreciate Pattinson balancing between being intimidating and also kind of awkward sometimes. It shouldn't be possible for both to work, and I really don't know how I can describe it. I guess I just noticed that some characters are really scared of him, and some are just look at this doofus in a bat costume. Some people headcanon this version of the character as being a virgin. Sure, I guess I can see it. He's busy doing Batman stuff as opposed to other stuff. So if that tidbit adds to your enjoyment of or relating with the film, go ahead and have the headcanon. I'm more interested in discussing Bruce's actual character arc, so I'll touch on it briefly without spoilers. In the beginning of the movie, he's all like, I'm vengeance, but eventually he realizes that that's not the best way to go about being an actual hero, so he starts to change his style of Batmaning. So yeah, good for him. Okay, so I had a fair amount to say about Batman himself, but I don't have too much to discuss with the other characters. This movie's Catwoman, Jim Gordon, the Penguin, and Carmine Falcone are also interesting, and you could probably make the case for them being some of the best interpretations of those characters. The Riddler is definitely inspired by the Zodiac Killer, and I think that's neat for two reasons. First, the Zodiac Killer being tied in with all the hype for this movie got me to watch the Zodiac film from 2007. It's a good ass movie. It's basically the Batman if it wasn't a superhero movie. And watching that film got me to start watching more than just superhero movies, really. Second, usually I think the animated series is the piece of media that has the best version of a character, but not with the Riddler. In the show, he doesn't really get too many episodes, and he's kind of like tech and video game related, probably because the creators didn't really know what to do with him. This movie's Zodiac-inspired Riddler works a lot better, in my opinion. Alright, last two topics. The action's very good. The fight scenes are directed well, and the Batmobile chase is probably the best scene in the movie. The movie also has what I'm going to call an atmosphere. I don't really know how to explain it, but I like the feel of this version of Gotham and such. It's like spooky and mysterious. Lastly, the score is memorable and it fits the movie and the character brilliantly. It's just as good as the Danny Elfman or Shirley Walker music from the Tim Burton movies or the animated series. So yeah, I think this is the best Batman movie. It's definitely my favorite. I'm probably going to see it a second time in theaters at some point. Wait, the video's not over yet. I also saw the new Pixar movie, Turning Red, which asks not what if red pandas have feelings, but what if a tween girl turns into a big red panda whenever she has too many feelings. I like Pixar movies. Basically all of them have good animation, comedy, and emotional beats. This one is fine. I'm really not the target audience for it, but I can appreciate its strong points. The animation is good, and it and the movie as a whole definitely have personality. There are some funny moments, but also some like really cringy moments. I honestly think that the fact that some people are getting offended over minor details in the film is funnier than anything actually in the film, though. And then lastly, the film has solid emotional moments, I guess. I didn't really connect with it that much, but some people probably will. So yeah, watch Turning Red if you want.